is the one whose birthday is closest to mine. What's my Greetings, welcome. I'm Barry Nailbuff, and we're going to do a short experiment on competition today. As you may know, each year when there's an Olympics, the host country gets to introduce a new sport. And it seems to me that a sport that's been missing from the Olympics for many years is thumb wrestling. Beer pong, perhaps as well. And so I thought we would have an experiment with thumb wrestling. Are any of you unfamiliar with thumb wrestling? So you don't know what thumb wrestling is, but you do, sir. So can we do a quick demonstration for your colleague? No, just here we go. So you go like this, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war, and then it's. Okay, and you are. Rami. So Rami has just won spectacularly. So we have 3 rules for this experiment. One is that each pin, each victory, is worth $1. You will have 20 seconds to get as many pins or victories as you can. And during this time, there is no speaking. And the experiment is real, and by that I mean I will be paying the points that are received. And while I'm generous, I'm not that generous. And what I mean by that is I will pick one person at random to get paid, and the person who will get paid is the one whose birthday is closest to mine. What's my birthday? Well, you'll find out. So, can I ask you to pair up, the two of you? The two of you? Two of you, yes? What's the question?
What if you're left-handed?
You know, life is tough. The two of you. And then if you would go with the person on the row back, that is, you can either move or go right over the boundary with Dayu. So just hold on for a second. So the two of you, on your mark, get set, and go. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000.
I'm not really sure what this is. I think you won. It's just 2 hours.
Hey. Whoa, we're done.
Alexander,
My friends in the back, we're done. We're done. Okay, so that was great, and we're going to hold on for a moment before doing the analysis. I thought perhaps we might raise the stakes a little bit and introduce you to Dalian Kane, one of my colleagues. He is Canadian, and in his youth, he was a powerlifting champion. And this one will do for $2 a pin, and it will be arm wrestling rather than thumb wrestling. So let me introduce you to Dalian Kane, and we need a volunteer against Dalian. So I think you'd be a fine volunteer, sir. Yes? Is that okay?
Alexander.
He's got a firm handshake. This could be bad.
Go at it.
All right, good. All right, couple of ground rules first. Last thing I want to do is get hurt or hurt you or anything like that. So let's at least start off not full power. Right? And now, if you think I'm tricking you or something, just think about my incentives here. My incentives are not to embarrass you or hurt you. No one would be proud of me if you went 50% and I went slam, right? So understand my incentives, understand. In other words, trust me. Do you?
I do.
Okay, good. Again, let's go easy. This could end badly. All right? All right. So relax, first of all. Relax. We're going 50%. Okay, now I'm going to let you win.
Sorry?
All right, do the countdown.
So we're gonna have 20 seconds?
We
is
have
that what
20
you're saying?
seconds. Let's take him for all the money he's got.
So 3, 2,
I'll let you
1,
win, we go.
now.
Let go. Let me get one. All right, you're gonna
Okay.
get, there we go.
So, what do we do?
Faster, relax, relax. We're getting money here. Faster, 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 faster.
This is excellent.
Okay. You,
Okay,
Thank you. We're done.
so that's $2 each?
Yeah.
yeah.
Barry?
Well, it depends on your birthday.
Oh yeah, May 17th.
Well, we'll find out.
August
So-
3.
August 3, that could be close.
Because these were a lot, huh?
Yes, thank you. So, first, let's see for a moment, how many of you had 0 victories?
I had a champion with me.
The champion victory. How many had 1? 2? Who had, anybody have more than 2?
This guy did.
So, what were your numbers?
5.
5?
We had 80 each.
80 each. Okay? And 3. Okay, so can you guess what it was that the folks over here did that was a little different?
Yeah. They're
We didn't
smarter
even
than
talk
we.
about it. We didn't say a word. We just kind of figured it out somehow with our thumbs. Some guy with us.
And how was it that they figured it out?
They are smarter.
They are greedy, and you're not?
Yeah, we were more, no?
What's
It
not
is fair.
Well, it's fair, but you know, it's kind of against the spirit of the game.
And what was the game?
Arm wrestling?
Was that really the game?
No.
What was the real game?
Earn
The
as much
incentive
money.
to earn a lot of money.
Right. And in particular, take my money. Okay? And so, now the question is, how can you achieve that without speaking to each other? So, how did you begin?
Well, first of all, my incentive was to have fun more than taking your money. So, yeah, how we started that, we just like, I took advantage that he never played this game. And I exploited that and I went every time.
He's being honest.
So it was 5 to 0.
Well, the 5 out of that
I'll
5,
do
2
it.
were before you even started the game.
I see.
By teaching, he sort of.
I'll go over here.
So it's probably 3 to 0.
Well, I will count 5 so I can get much more money.
Okay. And how did you all start?
I let him win a bunch. Like we didn't talk at all. And so I just put my thumb there and he did this and he saw that I wasn't resisting. So he just started tapping. And then he moved his thumb in and then I started tapping. And we figured out, let's get 5 at a time. And so we just went 5 at a time. We didn't say a word, we just went 5 at a time. And we were like very happy to take Barry's money if our birthdays work out.
So my birthday is July 11th, which is darn close to August 3rd, if you ask me. Are there any other July birthdays in here? When is yours? July 14th. I love you. Thank you. And how many did you get?
That did not work out well, did it?
What is the answer? 0. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you so much.
I came specifically for this reason.
Yes, I appreciate that. So, I could have been on the hook for a lot, but I was saved. And let's talk about what are some of the big lessons that you'd want to walk away from this.
One of the things that I noticed, so with him, is so he was very tense, and notice that one of the first things I tried to make some common ground here. Look, we don't want to hurt each other. Let's not hurt ourselves physically. Let's not hurt each other's egos. Let's tone it down a notch. Nobody wants to go to war here. So I was trying to say we have some common ground. Even if we're competing on some level, there's many levels that we can cooperate. But notice I let him win the first to gain trust a little bit. But it didn't kind of work. In 2 ways it failed. The first time I let him win, he resisted a little bit. And it was kind of like maybe he was confused, like why is Dalian letting me win? And this is what we call, like, this is a quick version of the fixed pie bias. The notion that if you want something, it must be something that I don't want. I don't know what you're up to here, but you're claiming something, and so that's got to come out of my pocket. And sometimes that is true when you're haggling purely over price. Sometimes your gain is my loss, but the bias is thinking that everything's like that, and thinking that that many more pies are fixed than they are. And the other thing I tried to leverage was, first, finally he was happy to win, but he wasn't letting me do it. So I had to keep kind of cooperating a few times. Okay, win, win, win. You see what I'm trying to do here? And then we just had to win as quickly as possible. There was at one point where I was like, okay, relax even more. Let's do it faster. Sometime during the SALT Treaty, the Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty talks, the SALT talks, when the Soviets and the Americans were trying to reduce nuclear warheads and interballistic missiles, it was a sad comment that one of the delegates came back from the Soviet Union and said, every time the Russians want something, we have to go back to DC and figure out why we don't want that. And that's the fixed pie bias. There's a lot of things in common. Even when you're competing, not always, but more often than you think, there's kind of ways to cooperate and take as much money from him as possible.
So again, to sum up, we have a perspective that what you want to do is win, beat others, as opposed to do well for yourself. And I think the ultimate expression of this was Gore Vidal, who said, it's not enough to succeed, others must fail. And here, your ability to succeed was not at all about beating others, it was about taking money from me. Moreover, you might have this great mismatch where you have somebody who's inexperienced, somebody who knows a little bit more what they're doing, and the reality is that you can win. You could win 3-0 or maybe 5-0, but you're not going to win 40 or 80 unless the two of you figure out how to cooperate. And so even though you could win, the fact is that your colleague has enough ability to slow you down to make that win small. And therefore, you still need the other person. Similarly, you need the cooperation for sure. It doesn't count, by the way, if you get 20-0, because then you're counting on the other person to share with you, and maybe they won't. The last thing I'd add is that when the two of you were doing the arm wrestling, Galen was really having to cheat, because he was having to tell you.
Yeah,
Imagine how he would have been able to communicate. It wasn't just enough that he let you win. He had to say, darn it,
It was easier in the thumb wrestling. Our egos were less at stake, and there was less to be lost. Right? I was less afraid of him hurting me, but I wanted to talk because he was so kind of tense and primed up. I thought someone is going to pull a muscle if we don't back off. One of the things about we talk about this fixed pie. Again, what he and I did, what we call expanding the pie or creating value, but it's not, you're not expanding the pie just for efficiency's sake. We did a good thing not because we added up to 160, but I care about my piece of pie. Not necessarily the size of the pie, but my piece. But often the best way to get a big piece of pie for yourself, if you only care about your own outcomes, the best way to get a big piece of pie is by fighting over a big pie. If you want a piece this big, it's much easier. If I have to fight for him, if the pie is only this big, I'm going to really have to fight tooth and nail because, as Barry said, he has power to resist. It's not in my interest to give him 80 wins. That doesn't make me feel good. In fact, it hurts me. It takes away time for me to get wins. But it's not my number one goal is to stop him. My number one goal is to help myself. And vice versa, his number one goal is to help himself, not necessarily to stop me. And so that's how we trade. Let's just both get our number one goals to win a lot, and let's not bother trying to be defensive and keeping the other person from winning. And so we each get a big piece of pie because we expanded it. So you're expanding the pie, not kumbaya, but even a selfish person will realize if I expand the pie first, I'm probably likely to be left better off.
So that's it for this part of it. But if you have any questions, we should pick them now, and then we can work on other topics.
Actually, I learned now a very important lesson from our experience that usually when we negotiate, we forget what it's about. You know, like we forget now that it's about taking your money. We start really competing. It becomes personal. And this happens even in professional litigation for negotiation, especially with us in Syria when we went like to the peace negotiation. It become about personalities and people forget
Egos.
what is this about.
This is about peace and saving people's
Exactly.
lives, not one-upping
Exactly.
each
Not
other.
about like I want to score one, no you want to score one, and so this competition led to basically the fail of negotiations.
And even when there's not some outside interest, if we're just working, negotiating with each other, another way you can do that kind of trade is realize, like, what are your priorities? Like, issue A is a #1 priority for you. Me too. We're just going to fight about that. Issue B is not even in my top 3, but it's #2 for you. That might be an issue where we trade. You want that so much, I'm going to give that to you, and I'll get a win later. I'll get a win when it's important to me, and you get a win when it's important to you. In other words, you don't have to have some outside person funding the cooperation. We can just, this is just basically a theory of making straight trade-offs, making smart trade-offs with each other and being efficient when you give and why. You find, look, I can help you and you can help me, let's work it out.
Were there other questions or comments over here?